It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in studio today, whether you're watching on TV or listening to us on the radio right now. It is good to have you along. Verde River Basin Partnership's Tom O'Halloran is back in studio today. Hello.
Good morning, Paul.
Good
How
to
you
see
doing?
you. Very good, very good. This is kind of part 3 of our series with you.
It is, and we're going to ramp it up a little bit now because there's a lot of information coming out on water, whether it's on the Colorado River or statewide or here. There's just a lot going on right now.
So I guess some of our studies are finally coming to a conclusion that have been going on.
They are. Some of them will continue to be ongoing, but there's one on the Colorado River that it's a supply and demand study by the Bureau of Reclamation, and all 7 basin states. There's 7 states that share the Colorado River waters in the basin. And
that's what we want to start out with today, right?
Yeah, because everybody thinks that eventually the Colorado River is going to be our salvation, that we can always get water.
Who thinks that?
A lot of people, sadly, because the message is always out there. We'll always be able to get water here, or the Sea of Cortez, or someplace else like that. And they don't associate that statement with a cost statement or availability statement.
Okay.
And so what occurs is, like in the Colorado River case, now, as we talk about water, if people own a home here today, and maybe the next home people that come in, they're going to have water. That's not the issue. It's going to be the issue in the short term of how much are we going to impact our surface waters, and we're probably going to have
what we see above ground.
What we see above ground, because and they're both connected.
Okay.
What's in underground feeds what's on top of the ground.
Gotcha.
So if we draw down the aquifer underground, we start to impact the rivers and the streams and the wildlife and everything else that survives because of us. Yes.
Even us.
And our recreational opportunities and quality of life. And so the Colorado River one was interesting because there's 40 million people that are served by the waters of the Colorado River and its tributaries. 40 million people.
That's a lot of people.
But in the by 2065, they project on the high side 79 million people. And that those 7 basin states will grow that much in the service area for the Colorado River Basin, and that of that 79 million people, there's going to be an additional demand on the Colorado River of 3.2 million acre feet. Right now, the demand is about 16.5 million acre feet. An acre foot is 325,000 plus gallons of water, and the average home uses about anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 of an acre foot, depending on how much outside irrigation you do.
Is this a day, a week, or a month's time?
A year.
A year, okay, a year. 1 year. Okay.
1 year. So it's a lot of water. And so what happens is that they're going to need to find a way to get 3.2 billion or million acre feet that they don't have today. And the 16.5 million acre feet that they as allocated on the river, we only have about somewhere in any given year about 13 million acre feet of that. So we have a shortage already on the Colorado River, but it's controllable because of the dams and the storage of water. But we're not going to be able to have it once we need 3.2. So they're talking again. When I moved here about 20 years ago, the talk was, where are you going to get water in the future? Well, we're going to drag icebergs down, and we're going to bring water from the Columbia River, as if the people in the Columbia River want their water down here and they don't have their own problems, or we'll desalinate water. Well, they came up with 129 different ideas on how to deal with Colorado River, but sadly, all of those ideas are very costly. The cheapest water you'll ever have is the water we have today. And so taking care of that, conserving that water, managing it appropriately, managing it on a regional basis. These are all important aspects of making sure that we have not only water, but water that's economically viable for us to be able to sustain ourselves.
Now, back when I first moved here, I had heard that by the time I reached my age now, 44, that cottonwood and sedona were going to be together, that there would be no buffer between the two anymore, and that hasn't happened yet.
That hasn't happened yet, but there's a lot of land between the two. Some of it's forest land. Some other show we might talk about the National Scenic Area and the ideas for that and how that could impact the viability of that corridor staying open and scenic and people being able to enjoy it both from Cottonwood. Cottonwood's right on top of the Red Rocks also. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why it's not a gateway community to the Red Rock area. But when you take a look at these patterns that are developing on the Colorado River, then the state of Arizona had a study, a report done by the Department of Water Resources, and the legislature had identified that over a 2-year period, they had the Water Resource Development Commission do its work. And it identified that Arizona is going to grow from its current 6.4 million people to over 12 million people in 50 years and over 18 million people within 100 years. And that we have significant water issues now. And if we don't plan today, and if we don't work together as a state today, or in our case, a state and a region today, we are just going to cause ourselves more and more problems. And so that population is going to need we use about 7 million acre feet of water in Arizona today a year. Okay. We're going to need 10 million acre feet in Arizona by 2110. So
where's it going to come from?
Well, they're thinking the same issue as on the Colorado River. Mm-hmm. They know it can't come from the Colorado River because there's a shortage there. They know that if they desalinate, the infrastructure to desalinate is expensive. Just whether it's bringing it from the Sea of Cortez or building desalination plants in the Sea of Cortez and then taking more water off the Colorado River because we've given the Mexican government, which is allowed 1.5 million acre feet, their water, so we'll they call it wheeling water, moving it around. But none of this is cheap, and it's for this region. Building a canal up from the Colorado River to here, you're talking about billions of dollars. Well, they could hardly afford the canal that was built for the Central Arizona project, and that was in an area that had 2 million people. Mm-hmm. We aren't going to have 2 million people. There's projections that in 50 years we'll have 500,000 people in this area between Prescott and the Verde Valley, but not 2 million. So the ability of us to pay for something of augmenting our supplies from the Colorado River is very prohibitive. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the commission didn't identify that as one of our sources. And then the idea that we could desalinate water is more expensive than that. And sadly for us, underneath our wonderful area here, we don't have a lot of salt water, the brackish type water down there. And so they aren't even looking at that as a solution for us locally. We'd have to, again, import water in. So we need to find a way to work together as a community, not just the Verde Valley, but the Prescott area, Verde Valley. We've talked about this for a long time.
Long time.
Long time.
I've done many stories on this.
Yeah, but the problem is, while we're talking, things are getting worse. Mm-hmm. You and I talked before. There's 2 maps out there that I use all the time. The one map shows how many wells we had in 1950 in the Verde Valley area, Verde Valley, Sedona area, 258 wells in 1950. In 2005, we had 6,400 wells. So what we're doing is not working. Mm-hmm. We're having more impact on our surface waters. We're having more impact on our groundwater. We're not planning for the future. And each and every study, now the Colorado River study, the state study, and then we have a study here called SciWorms. It's done by the Bureau of Reclamation. We're trying to identify how many people we're going to have water for and how much water we're going to need. And again, that 500,000 plus people is what they came up with, and their unmet water demand from those taking into account all the water we have now, is 45,000 acre feet a year. And so you can't continue on the same path. It's like going into a football game and at halftime saying, well, we're losing and we're just going to keep going in the same way we played the first half.
Right.
We can't play the first half over and over and over again. And that's what our way of doing things has been. And right now we need to start to define how we're going to look into the future and deal with these issues. And a couple of things, you and I have talked in the past show about the groundwater flow model. That is a computerized predictive
Let's
model.
come back to that. We got to take a break.
Yeah,
because
sure.
we're getting into a different segment, the ground flow model, okay? Tom O'Halloran with the Verde River Basin Partnerships in studio today. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll take a couple-minute break, and we'll be right back.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have two ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Welcome back to Countywide. Good to have you along. Verde River Basin Partnerships, Tom O'Halloran in studio today. We're talking water. And we talked about the Colorado River study. The numbers don't add up. And we're going to get into the groundwater flow model. Real quick question for you, though, before we get into that groundwater model is, we mentioned in the first segment that we've been studying this for a long time. There is a ton of different water studies that have been done. We've got numerous water groups around Yavapai County. At what point in time do we actually get all on the same page and all work together to solve the issue?
Well, part of it, you mentioned the water groups. And the water groups are getting together. Verde River Basin Partnership and the Verde Watershed Association, which is one of the older groups around here, have now merged under the banner of the Verde River Basin Partnership. We're going through a year of working that out and stuff. CWAG, which is up in the Prescott area, we've opened up lines of communications. They're using our Facebook page. We're sharing website information and things like that. We're meeting on a regular basis to make sure the message that we're all putting out.
So this is starting to come together.
Exactly.
Everybody's starting to work together. But
all private groups. Though.
Okay.
Where is government in this process?
Okay, that's another question.
Yeah.
And when do we take all these studies that have been done and say, okay, this is the one we're going to go with, or this one we're going to go with. This one's right. This one's right.
Groundwater flow models are used. There's 6 other groundwater flow models in Arizona that are built on the same premise as this model that was just done in 2011 by the United States Geological Survey. The gold standard in creating these.
Okay, there we go.
And these models are used in Phoenix, in Tucson, throughout the world. I mean, that's how people that understand water management say, that's how we need to identify how we're going to impact our future, and these are predictive models that do that. And they're based not on just something pulled out of the sky. These models are based on on decades of research that has been done, decades of identifying what the geology and the hydrology of an area is and stuff. And are they exact? No, they're predictive, and they're for water managers to say, here's what could be happening to the aquifer that I depend on. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is that because they're predictive, people look at them and go, well,
it's a prediction.
It's a prediction, and people might be afraid of a prediction. And we've talked about this. Well, if you're afraid of walking across the street or walking out your front door and stuff like that, the world's going to continue on, but you're going to sit there and frozen while everything changes around you and not be able to do anything about your life. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with water. You know, you can say what you want, but the more you know about it, the better you're going to be able to manage it and work together, because it all ties together. So we need our governments to work together to deal with this. And now the partnership and the USGS and the Walton Family Foundation have all come together with Walton Family Foundation funded work to be done by the USGS, and we worked a scope of work out with them. And on April 11th, over at the Multi-Use Center in Camp Verde, the high school auditorium, seats 450 people, is going to be a groundbreaking announcement about what the prediction is for our water in the next century. Mm-hmm. And this is the type of information that people can take and go, well, first of all, it's been done by the experts. It's all the knowledge is in there that we know of from the basin, and we can start to identify how we're going to come together and work on a solution.
Who has to take that seriously? When it comes in, everybody should.
Every person should, because if you have an individual well, and if the model shows that you're going to be dropping X amount over the years, you're going to either have to chase water at a high cost, because deepening wells is costly, or you're going to have to find other ways of dealing with it on a collective basis as a community. And that's the problem. The more we just turn our backs and not recognize the problem, the worse the problem gets. We have been impacting water, our groundwater and surface water, since the day we put the first well in this area, you know, back in the 1920s. Mm-hmm. When that well went in, that started taking the aquifer and the surface water out of balance.
Sure.
Because stable state is when there's no wells and the water just goes in and comes out. And there's a natural system for that. Every well that goes in takes that and changes the balance of that process. And over time, that's what occurs.
That just seems like common sense to me, though.
Oh, it is common sense, but there's a lot, you know, economics is involved. People are fearful about, well, if we don't have water, and people know we don't have water or won't have water, we have water, then they may not build their home here. They might not bring their business here and stuff. And the reality is, in every place in Arizona that has used groundwater models as predictive tools and have come together and worked together to deal with their groundwater issues, their economies are the best in the state.
You could just alleviate the worry then, right?
Exactly. Get the worry out of the way and start becoming solution-orientated instead of fear-orientated.
Well, it seems like everybody who needs to get on the ball on this needs to get on the ball.
Yeah.
And needs to start working together.
And we're hoping this...
It's been years.
We're hoping this public announcement on April 11th is going to start to have that conversation and get people to recognize that we need to do something. And I don't want to make people fearful that, you know, April 11th comes and, you know, things are going to happen. This is a predictive model for long term. But you don't plan on water resources. You don't wait for the crisis. If you wait for the crisis, it's costly. You've impacted your habitat. You've impacted the amount of money it's going to cost you. You deal with water resources now for the future. And you know, if we care about the young people that live here, if we care about the young families that are here, we need to do something about it. If we care about our wildlife,
care about the future in general.
The future in general.
Yeah. Okay.
Stewardship.
We'll take another break. Verde River Basin Partnerships, Tom O'Halloran in studio today. I'm Paul David. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Hello, everybody. I am Lou Ann Patterson. My family and I would like to welcome you to the Copper Star Indoor Shooting Range, Northern Arizona's premier shooting sports facility. We offer a 25-yard pistol range, a 50-yard archery range, and Arizona's only 100-yard indoor rifle range. In addition, we have a full-line gun shop as well as an archery pro shop. Come check us out. We're located at Highway 260 and Cherry Road, right next to Out of Africa. Looking forward to seeing you all.
I got no pulse, so losing. Shocking. Drives it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. You'll be fine. I feel good. Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Fire can happen at any time. What would you try to save?
My family photos.
My grandfather's war memorabilia.
My dogs.
I'm firefighter Brandon Wacker with the Cotton Fire Department. A working smoke detector is your best defense in the event of a fire. Make sure you have a smoke detector in every room except your kitchen. Test them monthly and change the battery once a year. Take the time to save the things you can't replace.
Welcome back to Countywide. A couple of minutes left in the program. Tom O'Halloran in studio today with the Verde River Basin Partnership. For more information, you can go to vrbp.org. That's your new website?
Yeah, there's a lot of education material there. There's announcements of what's going on. It's a great site, and there's a lot of pictures for people to understand the beauty of what we're trying to preserve.
There's a big picture right behind you of the beauty of the Verde River right there. April 11th, we have the groundwater model.
The announcement of what the results are of the groundwater model. It's from 3 to 5 in the afternoon.
3 to 5.
At the Multi-Use Center in Camp Verde.
Okay.
And then today is our annual meeting for the partnership, and our guest speaker is Congresswoman Ann Kirkpatrick, and that meeting is from 2:30 to 4:30 at the Cliff Castle Casino Conference Center, the Sedona Room. And we look forward, she's on some committees that deal with water resources and infrastructure and all the things that we're dealing with how to move water around the West. And so I think it's going to be very informative. We moved our meeting to that location. We have lots of seating for people, and the public is not only invited but encouraged to participate in that. And again, we'll have other information that we have for people during the course of that meeting. It's important that people start to understand these issues and get involved.
Yeah. Do we have enough studies done on our water supply in the state of Arizona to where we don't have to do any more water studies, and we can take these studies and utilize these studies to look towards the future?
We, just like anything else, we continue to, there's always a need to refine. And so in this area, we need to refine the studies we have. That doesn't mean that you don't make decisions on the known science that you already have.
I feel like when you say refine or you say prediction, that means there's a possibility this might not be accurate, so we can just push it to the side.
And prediction is, refinement is not prediction. Refinement is improving something that was good in the first place, and you're just improving it so it's even better. These models, these predictive models, are used everywhere. Water managers around the world say, I have to have these. And now here we have had one for 2 years in this region, and government hasn't used them. They have said, well, they had some questions, and then the questions were answered by the USGS, United States Geological Survey. And even after that, people are going, well, we can wait. We need to find out more information. We have information to make predictive models, and we need more information to refine it. Every one of these models throughout the world, throughout Arizona, that people are using today are going through a consistent refinement process. And every one of these models has been shown to be useful in groundwater management and surface water management. They can't do it without it. All these studies I talked about, you can't do it without model.
Gotcha. All right, we got to say goodbye.
Well, goodbye until next month. Yeah.
I will see you again next month.
Yeah.
We'll finish wrapping up this conversation there. Tom O'Halloran with the Verde River Basin Partnership, vrbp.org. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll talk to you again next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.